big plane coming in.
You could pull it off, but
What?
the go sign, the open 2 months,
Oh.
green was the two male symbols together. Like me and him can go, but
Oh,
you can't.
I have to stay back behind.
But we're also faking.
Aw, that's, yeah, true. Wow, this is incredible, you guys. Little palm trees. You're supposed to see palm trees out here. What mountain is this? Look how grand it is. I was just gonna ask you if you could put it in my bag. That was bad. Not bad.
I'll put it in.
You sure? I don't mind. Oh, look at it. It looks like a hotel.
That's my other kind of like, should I put a 25-pound like plate in my backpack to make my tomorrow really good?
Oh.
It's like we get half and half like walking through
Here,
through long, we're
Snap! Kevin, just go. Just go with it.
No.
Tell my dog well. That's what I got.
Oops.
My brother, I got milk.
There's a martyr. Yeah. Yeah.
Kak.
Yeah. Yep. You gotta get a picture of that.
Church over there.
No, you
Very
didn't.
good. As I like look up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a green.
Oh, we got green. That's an interesting clock. Wow. Hold that real quick.
You want to try?
Gorgeous.
We need a booking or not? We can check.
Okay, yeah, that would be awesome. Welcome to Westminster Abbey. Wow. It's you got paid.
Prices are $27 per adult.
Well, we only have 30 minutes, so we gotta head back.
Well, how about this? How about we do the boat tour and if we're back in the area and we can do the
We'll
tour.
do that. That sounds great. That would be cool.
Honestly, like if we saw this, that'd be cool.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah, it's really good coffee.
We are here if you want to grab one.
What's Dean's Yard? Dean's Yard.
good afternoon, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Welcome aboard the Avon tour. Now we've left Westminster Pier, we just have to go through a very quick safety announcement. Okay, now it's not to alarm you, it is just to familiarise you all with the vessel you're travelling on today. It's just to let you know that this boat is equipped with life-saving equipment for up to 250 passengers. We currently have 45 on board, so by my maths, every single one of you will get 5 life jackets each. Some of you will get 6. It's just how it works, isn't it? But as well as life jackets, we also have life rings, life rafts, all located around various points of the vessel. In the event of any emergency, good luck. It's nice to see who's listening. I know he's going to get a life jacket now, don't I? Now, of course, you'll be told how to proceed over the public address system. All we ask you is to remain calm, remain in seats, and await instruction from a member of the crew. Now, on our way downstream today, folks, so we are going to pass a couple of places, items of interest. Now, it's entirely up to you how you find out about these, as we do have 2 options. Okay, option A is what I like to call the Wonder Cruise, and that is where you all sit there nudging each other, saying, "I wonder what that is over there." Okay, but if you would prefer, option B is I can share with you a little bit of my local knowledge on the way downstream. Okay, now before you all say yes, I will warn you, I am not a tour guide. Okay, I am just a very, very good looking member of this crew. And why are you laughing?
Awesome.
My mum told me that. Mums do not lie, do they? So it must be true. So, would anyone like me to point some places out on the way downstream? Yeah? Okay, I'll do my best. Okay, I do understand as well, not everybody's first language is English. Okay, believe it or not, I'm from London. We don't speak English either here. So I am trying my best to speak a bit slower and a lot clearer than I normally would. Alright, believe me, I'm also talking about language, so I'm trying my best to slow myself down a bit, okay? But just back on our right is the London Eye, okay? It's now London's top tourist attraction. They reckon it's carried over 60 million people since the Eye first opened. They reckon in one rotation, so 30 minutes, the London Eye will make £17,500. Right, in one day in our summer, the London Eye makes just under £250,000. That's one day in our whole 5 days of summer here in London, so it makes a lot of money, it really does. So much money, it's nicknamed the Wheel of Fortune. Now in front of the boat is the Charing Cross Railway Bridge. The 2 footbridges either side are the Golden Jubilee walkways. And not only will we pass beneath a railway system here, we also pass over one. So we pass over the Northern and the Bakerloo lines of the underground system. Now those of you on the top deck, as we go through the bridge, it is quite a good idea that you wave at people because it will keep their hands busy. Okay? Last week there was a little boy up on this bridge with a big cheeky grin on his face. He was holding a McDonald's milkshake. You can guess what happened, can't you? A lot of people got off smelling like a strawberry that day.
Oh.
So if you wave at them, it genuinely keeps their hands busy. Of course, if they normally wave back at you, but some people won't wave, do not take it personally. They'll be the ones that are from London and they're just miserable. Don't worry. So you may be wondering what's going to happen. So we have got a couple of request stops here. So we just got to quickly call in at Embankment Pier, pick up a couple of people there, dart over the river, pick up a few more people over at Festival Pier. Okay, then we'll be carrying on down to Tower Bridge and then to Greenwich. So just out of interest, show of hands, how many of you are going to Greenwich today? Okay, how about Tower Bridge? Okay, so where are the rest of you going? We'll work it out, won't we? Alright, so just bear with me for a couple of seconds, folks. We'll just pick these up and then I'll come back and carry on pointing some places out on the way downstream, okay? I'll be back with you all very shortly. Let's play a game with this little clock, right? So just raise your hand if you think that that clock is bigger than the ones on the Houses of Parliament. So bigger than the clock faces a Big Ben, just put your hand up. your hand up if you think it's smaller. There's a few more that time. Put your hand up if you do not care about clocks. It normally always wins. It is actually bigger, so well done if you said it's bigger. To give you an idea of how big it is, the minute hand itself is 13 foot long, right? And that takes a whole hour to go around once. Massive, really is. I can see some of you need a bit of time for that.
Yeah, process.
2 feet bigger though than the ones on the Houses of Parliament. Now this bridge we're going through now is Waterloo Road Bridge, opened in 1945, affectionately known as the Ladies' Bridge. And it's not because of the lovely curves, it's because of the workforce being over 80% female. Right, women built that bridge. During World War II, a lot of the men folk, they was away overseas fighting in the war. Back home, the women picked up all the jobs, and 9 out of 10 times found out they did them a lot better than the men did. Waterloo Bridge, the longest bridge in London, stands 1/4 mile, and it's the only bridge in the history of the River Thames that has ever been finished on time. But like I said, it's because the girls did it, isn't it? But my mum always tells me when you want something done properly, get the girls to do it. And Waterloo Bridge is testament to that, and it's also the reason that I'm not allowed to wash up. To be fair though, no one does in my house got a dishwasher. It's called my younger brother. But on the right, the building there with the electronic changing sign is the National Theatre. That's London's pride and joy. Boasts 3 separate theatres, bars and restaurants. Now, unfortunately, has been voted one of London's ugliest buildings in our ugly building competition. Now, why we have a competition for ugly buildings, I don't know, but we do. It's called the Carbuncle Awards, and that used to win it quite regularly. That was until about 5 years ago when they built a Tesco's in Woolwich. And I don't know if any of you have seen that, but my God, it's ugly. Now, on the left-hand side, on the embankment wall, can you see those bronze lion's heads? Right, they're an old flood defence indicating system. They was used by the Victorian police. Now they would patrol down by the banks of the River Thames and poke their heads over the wall, and if the water had reached the lions, they would then issue a flood warning, because London was at risk of flooding. Nowadays we have electronic tide gauges, and it does it for us. But they used to have a poem to help them remember, and the poem went, if you see the lions are drinking, then London will soon be sinking. But if it's up to the lion's mane, we're about to go down the drain. But if the heads are ever ducked, then London is utterly flooded. Because not all poems have to rhyme. It's true. I'm sure that's how it went. One of London's best kept secrets is over to the right hand side. This is London's premier beach resort. It's called the South Bank Riviera. Bet you didn't know we had a sandy beach in London. But also on the right, the red brick building with the Oxo Tower. Now this is indeed where they used to make the famous stock cube. Now they don't anymore. The bottom 2 floors are all shops. Under the glass roof at the top is a quite expensive, but I will say a very, very nice restaurant. And in between all of that, you'll find unaffordable housing, which is just like most of it in London now, really. And then you got the right idea here, because if you look over on the left, get your cameras out, you get a lovely picture of St Paul's Cathedral from this side of the room. When we get down, some of the buildings sort of obscure it, so you do get a nice picture in a minute when we get a nice lovely view of St Paul's. But St Paul's stands 365 feet high, which is easily remembered as 1 foot for every day of the year. It took 35 years to build, and it was completed in 1710. And Sir Christopher Wren's masterpiece. And then we're about to go through the 3 bridges of Blackfriars. Now, the first one of the 3, the Blackfriars Road Bridge, this is the lowest bridge on the section of river that we will travel through today. There are certain states of tide when this boat will physically not fit through this bridge. Okay, but we do not just guess, because that would be irresponsible, wouldn't it? So I did a 5-year apprenticeship to become a captain on the River Thames. Both of us today are licensed Thames watermen. And to finish our apprenticeships, you have to learn the entire 67-mile tidal stretch of river and know everything within that 67 miles. So we know the height of the bridge, we know the height of our boat, and we constantly monitor the height of tide. So it is only a very quick mathematical equation to work out whether your boat fits through the bridge or not. And luckily I did get a D in maths, so I'm alright at that, to be honest. The red stone columns was the remains of the St Paul's Railway Bridge, Brunel's steam train bridge, and the last one of the 3D Blackfriars Railway Bridge. Now if you look back up at the bridge at the moment, you'll see the entire station is now on top of the bridge. Okay, it's one of only 4 stations anywhere in the world to span a river. And I think it's quite a good idea, because it means you can access the station from either side of the river now. Like I say, it's one of only 4 anywhere in the world. I think the other 3 are in New York, Moscow and Kiev. But on the right now, you'll see the building with the large chimney. This is the old Bankside power station. It's no longer a power station. It now houses the Gallery of Modern Arts in Tate Modern. Now it is entirely free to enter, but if you have seen modern art, you'll know why it's free. I mean, it was all a load of rubbish, isn't it? And I'm not even being
City of London.
It genuinely is. The last time I went there, they had a burnt out car, a pile of broken house bricks, some scattered around empty beer cans, and a half-eaten sandwich. I needn't have even bothered leaving the estate where I live. We got all that there too, and we don't call it art. Any Harry Potter fans on board, you'll probably recognise this bridge, as this is the one the nasty Death Eaters destroy in the Half-Blood Prince. It's the Wibbly Wobbly Footbridge, or the Millennium Footbridge. Gets its name of the Wibbly Wobbly because on the opening ceremony they had a sponsored walk across it. So many people turned up, the bridge rocked and swayed so violently people was falling over. The ones that didn't fall over, well, they were sick on the ones that did, and it was a very, very messy day. They then had to spend another £6 million just to de-wobbleise that bridge, and as you can see, they have managed to do so. If you don't believe me, just go on YouTube, type in Wibbly Wobbly Bridge London, you can watch it all unfold. But on the right now, the white building, timber frames, thatched roof, this is a replica of Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. Now it's in there where you can see all of Shakespeare's good plays, all performed in period dress, just like it would have been done in Shakespeare's day. As I say, there is no microphones, no lighting, just a few actors standing around in strange clothes shouting. But very, very good over at the Globe.
Yes.
Now this next bridge though, this one is called Southwark Road Bridge, and this is the narrowest and least used bridge to span the River Thames. So it's due to the approach roads being so well hidden in the back streets of London that not many people know this bridge even exists. If you see anybody walking across that bridge, they are probably lost, or drunk, or both. I mean, I've been drunk and lost a few times. But it's due to the approach roads being so well hidden, not many people know how to get onto the bridge. Now there's actually a lovely pub just coming up on our right. This pub to the right is called the Anchor at Bankside. And there's been a pub here, it's actually built in 1615. So it's a very old pub, the Anchor, quite historical as well. Shakespeare had a changing room in here when he would have performed at the nearby Rose and Globe Theatres. Now I will be mentioning quite a few pubs on our way down the street. Hey, don't get the wrong idea about them. There's just a lot of them on the river, and I have happened to go and actually personally research most of these pubs. You'll find out that on our way down the street. In the Anchor though, there are 7 different bars. 7. One for every day of the week. Quite a good pub. The bridge we went through was Cannon Street Railway Bridge, but that's about the only interesting thing about that bridge is the fact it's green, so I'll move on. On the right, can you see the black pirate ship over here in the dock? So this is a replica of Sir Francis Drake's ship, the Golden Hind. So they've actually taken the mast down, as they're actually having a lot of work done. They're currently being done up for their 3rd voyage around the world. The replica has actually circumnavigated the globe twice already, so she's done more sea miles than the original. But it's a a lovely, you go on there when it's
There's the
open, you can
gherkin.
see what it was like live and work on a sailing ship during the Elizabethan era.
Cheese grater.
This bridge we're going through now, London Bridge. Okay, yes folks, this is London Bridge. You cannot even argue with me, it's wrote on the wall. Look, London Bridge. People come from all over the world just to see London Bridge, and this is what they get. But there's been a London Bridge here for over 2,000 years, as the first London Bridge was placed here by the Romans. But a lot of people do get confused. Lots of people, when they first visit London, think London Bridge is down there in front of us. Now that bridge down there in front of us is called Tower Bridge. Okay, and it's very easy to remember which one is which. Tower Bridge happens to have 2 towers. So we can't make it any simpler, we really can't. But I'll talk more about the bridge when we get down there. And on the right though, dominating the skyline there, you'll find the Shard, which is Western Europe's tallest building. Stands over 1,000 feet high. Consists of offices, apartments, Shangri-La hotel, restaurants, bar, and there is an observation deck at the top.
Wow.
Now if you wondered what the horn was, on boats we do not have indicators. Okay, so what we use is something called a sound signal. And so what you heard there from the boat behind us, the Royalty, he blew 4 followed by 2, which means he's turning the boat around to port. So it's just to indicate to all the other vessels in the area what your intentions are. But coming up ahead of us to the right now is the HMS Belfast. Now that's permanently moored here as a museum and tribute to British naval history. So she has 9 decks to explore, walk around the ship, say go down into the engine rooms, right up to the captain's bridge. So quite a good day out there on the Belfast. Now if you're lucky enough to visit the Belfast as well when they have a visiting Navy ship, a lot of the time on the weekends when they're here for their courtesy visits, you buy your ticket for the Belfast, walk around the old naval ship, and they quite often do open days on the more modern naval ships. So if you time it where a visiting warship, sometimes you get to do the open day and they let you on both ships with that one ticket. So quite good when they're here. Now ahead of the boat to our left hand side, coming up is the Tower of London. Now the centre keep was placed there back in 1078 by William the Conqueror. Everything else that you see over there today has been added by reigning monarchs since then. Been a few things, becoming basically a tradition for each monarch to add something new to the tower. There's been a few things in its day, to name a few: palace, fortress, prison, a mint, zoo, observatory, but most famously a place of execution. Say lots of gruesome histories taking place at the tower. Now in a moment along the embankment wall you'll see where they bricked up the entrance to the Traitors Gate. You can actually still see it wrote on the wall there, entry to the Traitors Gate. Now if you was deemed a traitor, you was tried at the Palace of Westminster, or the Houses of Parliament as it's more known today. You was then rowed down the river by a Thames waterman, just like us, probably without the commentary though, taken through the once open archway, marched up to the top of the hill, where your head was then removed from your body by means of a large axe. Now if you was a famous enough traitor, they then took your head, placed it on a spike, dipped it in tar, and then put it up on the old London Bridge to deter all the would-be traitors. And this is what was known as the good old days. We're about to go through Tower Bridge though. Tower Bridge opened in 1894. Designed so the 2 centre bascles can be opened and raised to allow larger ships in and out of London. Now each one of these bascles weighs over 1,000 tons and can be raised in just 90 seconds. Now there's only one day of the entire year where Tower Bridge will not open. Okay, does anybody know what day that is? Give you a clue. It's a sporting event. It's the day of the London Marathon, because Tower Bridge is part of the course. Personally, I do think they should open it a little bit and give more jump. That'd make the marathon a lot more interesting for me. I would sit here all day long watching that then, I really would. But I suppose they are quite tired by the time they get here. It is about the halfway marker for the London Marathon. So what we'll do, folks, as we come through the bridge, we like to sort of turn the boat side on, give everyone a nice chance to take a picture of Tower Bridge. But our next stop is actually just ahead of us, in front of us there. So that is Tower Bridge Quay. So if there are any passengers that are going here to the tower, okay, please have a look around you at this point. Make sure you have all your belongings with you. Okay, this boat will carry on further down to Greenwich. Okay, so if you have a tower ticket and you want to go straight back, so this is where you must change. So make sure you have all your belongings, things like cameras, handbags, mobile phones, wives, husbands, other people's wives or husbands. I mean, we don't judge. Most importantly though, remember your children. Take your kids with you. Honestly, you wouldn't believe how many kids get left on these boats. You really wouldn't. I just don't know what to do with them anymore either. There are very strange rules on eBay now, so make sure you take the kids, okay? Now, last thing that I will mention, folks, this is a little bit about these commentaries. As I said at the start, and you probably all painfully worked out, say we're not official guides on these boats, we are just your crew. And the crux part of it is, because I'm afraid there is always a crux part at the end of the day, and that is if anybody cares to show any appreciation for my efforts as a guide, as you leave the boat, I'll be standing down at the exit with the old captain's champagne bucket. You want to throw anything in the bucket, you know, like your small change, like 10, 20, £50 notes, anything like that, really greatly appreciated. Of course, if you have those small change, we do also accept rings, watches, necklaces, girls' telephone numbers, mobile phones, credit cards, anything really. Although anything that you do give is gratefully appreciated and of course faithfully applied when we escape from this boat. Now all that is there for me to say, folks, is thank you all very much for your kind attention. Those of you travelling to Greenwich, stay on the boats. This is not Greenwich. Okay? Thank you. We've come through Tower Bridge. We're technically now in the East End of London, and the East End was more the industrial side of London. So if you look either side of us now, you'll see all these old riverside wharfs that have all been converted into luxury apartments. There's a lot of these. Some of them are quite, some of them have a bit of interesting facts about them, so I'll point some of them out on the way down. The one back on the right is called Butler's Wharf. That was where the first £1 million apartment was sold on the banks of the River Thames, back on the right. It used to be an old spice warehouse, so that was what was stored there. You'll see the little entrance into the river on the right. That's the entrance to St Saviour's Dock, or Dockhead, Bermondsey. This is where Dickens based his novel Oliver Twist. That's where Fagin had his den of boy thieves and Bill Sykes met his bloody death. It was all like that little entrance back at that point. It was also used in one of the James Bond films. You know, like The World Is Not Enough. The one with a black jet boat. He goes flying up that little entrance, doesn't he? Gets to a dead end, but that ain't a problem for James Bond. He just does a jump. Comes out 5 miles downriver at the O2 Arena. We've looked for that shortcut, it don't exist, let me tell you. Landed on the back of a lorry, I think. We're going past these lovely 3 green apartments on our left. Now, like most modern buildings, they all have a concept. These ones on the left, they are designed to look like something. I don't know. No, they honestly, they're meant to look like 3 French soldiers. Right, and if you tilt your head to the right a little bit and squint one eye, you'll see they look nothing like that. A lot of people say they look like a boat or a ship. But I can tell you now that architect was definitely on some heavy medication, wasn't he? But he says the roofs are now they're slanted, with the berets on their head, the water towers, the rifles that stick over their shoulder, and the antenna, a bayonet at the end of the rifle. I don't think you've ever seen a French soldier with his life. On the left though, you'll see Oliver's Wharf. Now this was one of the very first warehouses that was converted to luxury apartments. Some of you might remember the famous pop singer Cher. She used to have the penthouse here, but she moved when she was complaining that me and all the other boats going past was telling you lot where she lived. She did not like that. So she's moved. I believe she's mainly back in America. But she does own a flat at Chelsea Harbour. It's in the 2nd tower block, flat number 4. If anybody is interested, you just didn't get it from us. And then coming up on the left-hand side now, you'll see the Thames Police at Wapping. Now this is the oldest uniformed police force anywhere in the world. was set up a few years prior to the Bow Street runners. Started by two gentlemen, one being John Harrier, the other being Patrick Calhoun. And they started it to about a third of all the cargo that was coming into London was going missing. It was estimated there was somewhere in the region of over 2,000 pirates on the Thames in their days. And that's why they say they started the police force to combat the piracy on the River Thames. Little pub on the left called the Captain Kidd. He was a Scottish sea captain. He was actually a licensed privateer. He got sent out to combat the piracy, but he found it a lot more profitable just to become one. They caught up with him all the same, and he was the last pirate that was executed on the shore to our left by a form of execution known as the Grace of Watford. So years ago, you'd have to imagine, there used to be hundreds of gallows all along the foreshore to our left. Okay, and this is where they used to execute people. Now the Grace of Watford was reserved for pirates. So you only got the grace if you was convicted of piracy, and it was slightly different from a normal hanging, because they hung you with a short rope, okay, which meant your neck did not snap. You dangled from that bit of rope for 3 tides, and if you somehow managed to survive that, they would set you free by what was an act of God. After 36 hours of water being over your head, it really would have been an act of God to survive that, and then they probably would have just burned you because you was a witch. So it was a win-win situation back then, it really was. But I say, you'll notice there is no more gallows on the foreshore. We don't have them anymore. We actually still have one. There is one remaining gallows, just in case we ever need it again, and it is actually just down outside the pub called the Prospect of Whitby. Okay, that pub over there is the oldest pub on the banks of the River Thames. That dates back to the 1520s. And if you look just outside the pub, you'll see the wooden post. Hanging from that is the last remaining hangman's noose. But I say, we shouldn't need it anymore, do we? Because we don't execute people anymore, because we have far worse punishments nowadays, don't we? Things like community service. Painting fences is apparently enough to keep anybody on the straight and narrow, and believe me, I've done it twice. Not really, once was enough, yeah. But I say, the Prospect of Whitby used to have the nickname of the Devil's Punch Bowl, and that was when the Royal Naval press gangs would hang out in there. They would hang up the sides with a promise of cheap beer. You would go in there, get very, very drunk, and as you'd walk out, you'd get whacked round the back of the head of a lumberwood, and you'd wake up on a ship at sea. Hey presto, you had joined the Navy. Now, if anybody wants to experience the modern day equivalent of that, all you need to do is come with me down to my local Wetherspoons on a Friday night, as it is pretty much the same thing. They advertise cheap beer, there's normally lots of wax over the head. The only bonus is you don't wake up on a boat. Unless you're being at work Saturday, yeah. But over on the left now, this is the latest display from the Lego company. Very cleverly designed apartments, that designed so each apartment has its own unique and personal riverside view. It basically meant they could sell them all for more money. So if you have a river facing apartment, it will add about between £200,000 and £300,000 to the asking price. So if you look over to the right, you'll see a building coming up here. It's called Globe Wharf. Now this used to be a rat infested rice warehouse. Nowadays it's rat infested apartments. Now a river facing apartment here in excess of £1 million, whereas if you have one looking over the car park, probably only between 600,000 and 700,000. It's the same address, but you don't get to look at this lovely crystal clear blue water. So lots of people think the River Thames is dirty, right? Would it surprise you to know that the River Thames is now the 5th cleanest river anywhere in the world? Yeah. Right? It doesn't look it, does it? Yeah. That's because it's a mud-based river with a very, very fast flowing tide over the top of it, constantly churning that mud up. That's what gives it the murky effect. But there is actually over 220 different species of fish that live in the Thames, which does include things like salmon, trout, short-snouted seahorses, common and harbour seals, porpoises. We've even now got sharks. Not big ones, little ones, but they still count. Not up up them. But so it is very, very clean. There's do you know it's also the longest river in England, the River Thames? See, lots of people argue with me about this, but it's actually a good pub quiz question. So the River Thames is the longest river in England at 215 miles long. Now, those who argue with me, they quite often say the River Severn's longer, which it is, but it runs through Wales. So it's the longest river in Britain, it's the River Severn. The longest river in England is the River Thames. That's one for the pub quizzes. But 215 miles long, the River Thames. And 67 miles of that is the tidal section, which we are travelling on now. So we get 2 sets of tide a day here in London. We have 5 hours of incoming flood tide, followed by around 7 hours of outgoing ebb tide, which is what we are travelling on now. The tide is helping us, it's going out to sea. Every minute that goes by, the level is dropping. So here in London, we have a rise and fall of anything up to 7.5 metres. Okay, and this happens every day, twice a day. So it's a lot of water that comes in and out, it really is. If you need a visual representation, just look on the embankment walls, see the green moss line, that's the average level of high tide here in London.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is massive.
Now coming up on the left hand side is the Canary Wharf complex. Tall building there with a pointed roof, the flashing light on the top is #1 Canada Square Tower. So Canary Wharf, the name of the entire complex, and that gets its name from an old wharf in the docks there that used to deal with all the produce from the Canary Islands. That was how it got its name. It was where their produce went to or come from. So you used to have one over on the left there, dealt with all the produce from the Canary Islands. There's one back on the right there, it's called Columbia Wharf, but we got no idea what went there. I think it was coffee. Well though folks, I mean if you look on our right now, look, you'll see some lovely luxury riverside apartments. Ahead of us off to the left there's some more lovely luxury riverside apartments. It's pretty much like this all the way to Greenwich now. The only thing about these apartments really that I can tell you is they're very expensive and I don't own any of them. So what I'll do, until we get down as we go around the next bend, we start making our approach into Greenwich. I'll then start telling you about Greenwich itself, a bit about your return schedules for the day. So in the meantime, if you've got any questions, queries, by all means ask me whether if they don't know the answer, I'll come and ask them. Back, relax.
Yeah, that sounds
Enjoy the rest of your summer.
But he does. We really haven't done it, but you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to like fix the things to do.
I gotta take a picture. This is cool. Stop.
I'm staring downwards.
Så da så nå ser jeg turisten perfekt. Yeah?
Very like the middle square.
Cool. Want to take a quick picture here?
I don't think Wellington was recorded.
They like try to come up with inventive ways of. That's the Trader's Gate. Yeah. Wow, look at how deep it goes. That was really cool. Get out of here. Yeah. Is it a souvenir shot? Sure.